Welcome to the Podchamp podcast, the cast where we share with you what we've noticed in streaming, gaming news, and internet culture over the last week. The Podchamp podcast stars Alex the Ginger and Anchor Point, Radioactive Starfish, Gigantus 96, Rux, OC Wolf, and I'm your host, Quigabyte. In today's cast, Twitch gets Giphy with it, the Washington Post starts twitching, Twitch initiates phase 1 of its plan to conquer the world with new Twitch ambassadors, a quick chat about ethical IRL streaming, and finally, a discussion about early access. Does early access actually discourage participants from playing the release game? So, stay tuned for oodles of professionalism and sexy banter. But before we jump...
That's what we do.
Sexy banter. Or the oodles of professionalism. Either and both. But before we jump into our hot topics for all you goths out there, let's see what the pod champions have been up to over the last week. So let's see. Let me roll the dice. And Anchor, let's start with you.
Oh boy. Well, let me tell you. We've been playing a lot of Ark lately, and I think I said that 2 weeks ago as well.
Perhaps.
Still stands. We're still playing a crap load of Ark. It's completely taken over, but it's just so fun. Another thing that we have been playing is Warframe. We tried that out a little bit last week, and it was actually pretty fun. Definitely still getting used to like all the mechanics, and like I'm just not very good at games like that. So it's like it's got a learning curve that I'm on right now, but it's pretty fun so far.
So what exactly is Warframe? What kind of a game is Warframe?
Well, I might not be the best person to ask that to. Wolf might be able to kind of elaborate a little bit more. I think he called it like space ninjas. You're space ninjas, basically. But that doesn't really tell you what type of game it is. It's just you're a space ninja.
Okay.
To me, it kind of feels like if Diablo and Destiny had a baby.
I was gonna say it's a loot grinder in 3D.
Okay. I like the sound of it. All right, Alex, what do you got?
Well, I mean, I wish I could say I was playing anything that new or that interesting. It's kind of been just the Overwatch and Dokkan grind. Mostly what I've had on my brain is I've been playing that Magic the Gathering in real life. Boy, howdy. My God, like I don't know if any of y'all have ever played Magic, but I played it when I was like in high school, middle school. And
About the same for me, yeah.
Yeah, I played that, 2006, 2007 was probably the last time I played it really big. And then I finally came back in like March or April this year, and it's fucking my shit up real bad. I'm buying cards and once a week going to tournaments at the local store and having a lot of fun there. And I actually streamed it for the first time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did
Friday.
catch a bit of your stream last Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. The production value was just. It sounded good. That was good. The video's a work in progress. But it's been a cool way to branch out and kind of do something new on Twitch that I haven't done before. And everybody at the store was really enthusiastic about it. And so everybody's getting involved and wanted to show off their decks and their cards to the stream. And
that's pretty cool.
So yeah, I didn't expect it to really be much of anything, but it could really take off. So I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, it's totally something I could get into. I've collected various and played various card games over the years, but I've always almost purposefully avoided that game to prevent myself getting reeled in and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, So
yeah, that's what I'm struggling with right now.
So I just do that on Hearthstone instead. But
that's the spirit.
Yeah.
Takes up less space too.
Right, that's true. All right, so we'll move on to Giga, and before we let you talk, Giga, firstly, everyone, let's give Giga a big hand for making it to Twitch affiliate. So,
Thanks.
congratulations, sir. And if you don't follow him yet, head over to twitch.tv/Gigantes96, and that's Gigantes 96, and drop him a follow. So that said and out of the way, what's new with you?
Well, thanks for the plug.
You're welcome.
I didn't play that much anything new, honestly, except Cluster Truck, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
If we want to count that one.
Oh, we count that one.
Oh, okay, we count that one? All right. But for real, man, it's such a simple game. You jump from truck to truck. But, like, it's the most fun I've had streaming in forever. It really is. With the Twitch integration and how chat can fuck you up, it's probably the most fun game I've streamed ever. So yeah, it's the only thing I played this week, but it's so fun. So shout out to Cluster Truck.
Yeah, shout out to Landfall Games. It's a simplistic but incredibly fun game, both for the person playing and those watching. And the Twitch integration is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's super simple. 3 choices.
Yeah.
Usually all the choices fuck you up. So
right.
So well done, guys.
It's amazing how getting those 3 choices invests you in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. Starfish, what do you have for us today?
Well, as a big surprise to everybody, I've been playing WoW.
Really?
It actually...
Wow.
Wow.
But
all right,
it actually
anybody didn't... All right, go for it. Sorry.
it kind of hit me earlier this week that this is the first time I'm going into a new sort of expansion, because there's about a month before the new expansion comes out at this point. And I don't have a majority of my characters at max level because I haven't played WoW to nearly the extent I usually do. So I'm a little bit feeling like I'm playing catch up.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, you know, all you've talked about playing recently is WoW, so I guess you are playing a little bit of catch up there, but yeah. No, I'm excited, and I know a bunch of other people are excited for the Battle for Azeroth expansion. For me, World of Warcraft, the exciting and interesting part is the leveling process. I'm not a huge end game person, so every expansion is exciting to me to experience the new content, to level up new characters. Yeah, so I'm excited too. All right, moving on from World of Warcraft, we will ask Rux what he's been up to. Rux, what do you got?
Not much really. I'll be honest. I played a tennis game.
What was the tennis game? What was that tennis game?
Oh, I'm basically like an idiotic achievement hunter, I think is the best way to put it. And I need like 2 achievements on this game, which is literally just score a lot of points. And I calculated it's going to take me about 25 hours to do. So yeah, playing against myself as well. Fun times.
So there you go.
I mean, I've been playing Skyrim of all games.
Okay.
Because I've had it on my PS4 for about 4 or 5 years, and I've never played it on my PS4.
Okay. You know, I've never actually played Skyrim. I hear it's a good game.
It's alright.
It's alright.
It's good if you can mod it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you got the choice of to play it on whatever fucking console you want or PC now.
Don't forget Alexa.
So it's the
That's
best
right.
time to get into it if you want to.
Give it a few months, you can play it on your phone. You'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for that version.
Besides that, Rocket League.
Rocket League. Yeah, you were playing a little bit with Giga, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm terrible at that game. Are you guys any better than me? I mean,
I'd like to think I'm alright at it.
did we play it? I think we did one stream that we played it. I can't remember.
I think we
when,
might have.
but-
Long time ago, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, moving on from my terrible inability to play Rocket League, we will mention something special related to Rocket League actually before I move on, because I just remembered this. But Radioactive Starfish was trying to play Rocket League in real life just a few days ago.
Trying, I was succeeding. No, there was just a random ball that was blowing down the road in front of me during my commute the other day. It just reminded me a lot of Rocket League.
And I'm a little disappointed you just didn't accelerate full speed into the beach ball. So
I succeeded just as well in real life as I would if I was playing the game on the computer. Let's put it that way.
I mean, at least she won't win a Darwin Award for having a really stupid death.
that's true. That's true.
Death by beach ball.
Right. All right, moving on. And finally, Wolf. Anything new or exciting this week?
Since I've been playing everything that Anger's been playing with her,
Yeah.
not really. Still playing a lot of Ark. Still trying to get into Warframe. Kind of addicted to breeding babies in Ark. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
We have a lot of baby dinos.
We have a
Really
lot of baby dinos and there's a lot of incest, but that's how you get the really good dinos. So,
All right, fair enough. And are you guys gonna play Battle for Azeroth with Starfish and I once it releases?
Here's the deal. I want
yes, because
to.
I pre-ordered.
Yes, I want to, but I'm deathly afraid now that Starfish says she's been playing catch up, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh my god, I haven't played in like 3 months.
In the back of my head, I was like, who can I pay to level my character so I can jump in later?
It's not that I'm playing catch up because I have to. It's because I'm an insane person who has 10 alts.
Oh,
Hmm.
so if I
That-
only
yeah,
have one
yeah.
account, I'm probably fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I approach it. I really just have my one main character that I level up, so it's a little easier for me. But Starfish likes to level all her characters up.
So, like I said, I'm an insane person, and you don't have to go by my example.
Fair enough. All right, well, now that we've gone through the introductions and all the exciting things that we've all been up to over the last week, let's get into our exciting PowerPoint presentation. All right, moving on. Okay, here we go. So the first story is Twitch gets Giphy with it. And my little byline there is there anything Giphy isn't integrated with now? So this story is basically that there is now a Giphy extension allowing users obviously to access the Giphy library. As I understand, the GIFs are actually limited to PG rating and below, so you're not going to get anything with violence, sexual references, or lewd terms. But yeah, so it's a little disappointing from that perspective, but no. So yeah, so I don't know what else to say about this, but it basically what it allows you to do is to post GIFs to a specific section of the screen that the streamer has predetermined. I don't know how you set it up, but I'm assuming with the extension, it allows you to indicate where it's going to appear somehow. And then once it's activated, so viewers can, during the broadcast, can access it via a Giphy icon, do the search terms, the usual kind of stuff you do with Giphy, and then it'll overlay that GIF on the stream. So there you go.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't this already exist, the Streamlabs, like donations through their service?
Yes, yeah. So it does from Streamlabs donations. Although I think, and someone who's set it up, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't the streamer determine which GIFs are going to show up?
For Streamlabs, no. I think it can pretty much be whatever. I've never received one of those, and even then, the way that Streamlabs does it is real clunky because it plays the GIF for, I guess it doesn't even like play it for however long the GIF is. It just kind of like plays it for a fixed amount of time, and then it shows the donation regularly. So it's weird. I don't know. So that one's kind of awkward. I'm actually trying to install the Giphy extension right now because I want to check it out. So I'll have a lot of setup insight here in just a second.
Yeah. So, and for those who don't know, I can't remember if we talked about this, but extensions did get a recent update. You can now have up to 6 extensions on Twitch simultaneously, as opposed to the one that you were previously limited to. So now you can stack all sorts of crap all over the stream and, just have multiple extensions going off at the same time, which will be awesome. So... anyway, does anyone have anything else to say about
Super
Giphy?
exciting.
Yeah, it is kind of exciting, but anything else we want to say about Giphy? I'm just waiting for my bank app to get Giphy integration so that
Right.
so that when I send people money, I can send it with a GIF. So
I want when I get
love
a
gifts.
payday that I get a GIF on my phone, like money.
Yeah, like confetti or something. Sure.
yeah,
Mine's
Or
just
when-
gonna be a sad face.
Or when you make a particularly stupid like impulse buy, maybe it sends you a womp
Womp womp.
gift.
Can they just gifify our whole lives?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that makes perfect sense. So, all right. So I think we've beaten that one to death. But yeah, it's who doesn't love Giphy? Let's be honest. Here, do you guys want to hear something funny? The funny thing about Giphy is, or not about Giphy, about this slide, this PowerPoint slide, is this this is actually a GIF, but it's not animating. So it only animates when you're in presentation mode. So there you go. It should animate there if you guys can see it now. But I'm not sure if that's even showing up.
I'm waiting on
Oh, there it goes.
There you go.
There it is.
So yeah, it only actually animates GIFs in presentation mode. So the whole point was kind of ruined. But so Anchor, what are you putting in chat there, Anchor? Giphy?
Well, Wolf said, can we
Gifify.
gifify our
can we
whole
gifify,
lives?
yeah.
And I don't know if that's how you spell it, but I just wanted to type it and see if that might be how you spelled it. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I just want to add something in real quick. No one said GIF, and I'm so proud of all of you.
Thank
Golf,
fucking God.
round of golf claps.
Yeah, there you go. All right, moving on. So the next story, the Washington Post starts twitching, and I know a couple of our pod champions have watched the inaugural stream by the Washington Post. But yes, indeed, the Washington Post now does have a Twitch channel. The one that I saw in their VODs was playing games with politicians, and I watched just a few seconds of it. But it did appear that they were playing the game while talking about political issues. So
They were.
thank you for the confirmation.
I think they were trying to.
They were
and
trying.
failing.
Kind of.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. How bad is a politician's gamer face?
Well, you can see it on the
It's
stream.
not
Yeah.
good.
Right,
That's
right.
it right
It's
there.
like that.
But yeah,
Just a little slack, John.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad way. It's almost like putting a distraction in front of the politician so that you could ask him questions.
Well, something I
yeah.
saw, which correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of that stream, it's like an hour and some minutes long. At the end of the stream, they were talking about like why they picked that game, and I think they're letting the politicians pick the game.
Yeah,
So
it seems like that.
Yeah, so this guy picked Madden or whatever this is, and he whooped the guy's butt, like he kicked his butt at Madden. So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about politics on Twitch, but at least that was semi-entertaining. I was like, oh, so maybe he actually plays this like in his daily life, not just doing this bit for.
Yeah. I don't know
Washington
if you guys had time to watch a few of the other streams too, but there's a few streams that there's not even a game in it. It's just basically news on Twitch and like people talking about, like there was one on the Helsinki summit Fallout, and it's just an hour and 10 people talking about that without any games. So it's an interesting concept, I guess, on Twitch. It's not something that's that there's a lot of.
yeah,
Well, like,
absolutely. Yeah,
is
and sorry, go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say, is it an overlap thing that they're doing it on Washington Post and also on Twitch, or are they somehow only doing it on Twitch?
I think
That
these
might come to my
specific.
mind.
I think these specific streams are only on Twitch, from what I've seen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so the whole concept here, the Washington Post said they were basically looking for new ways to engage a younger audience. And so that's what they're launching the channel on Twitch. They're going to stream must-watch news and political events, basically. And so, yeah, they've had a live stream about Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin's first summit. They've done this playing games with politicians, which, as I understand, is going to be a recurring segment. So it's going to be interesting. And frankly, I think this would be something that, if I remember, I would watch, even when they're just talking about politics, because number one, I'm interested in politics in general, but number two, it would be interesting to see the dynamic of politics with Twitch chat. It could be terrible, it could be constructive.
From like, if you pull out the logs of like the stream I was just talking about, people seem to actually be civilized, which I was really surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch all of it, I'll be honest. I did watch for like 15, 20 minutes. And like, I don't know if it's just good moderators or whatever, but the chat was like actually just engaging in arguments like without anything else. It was just opinions and like very civilized. So yeah, it was. I
Civilized
thought
on the internet? What?
Yeah. I thought that was really weird, but good for them, I guess.
There were a couple of like, I don't know if I'd really call them like troll comments, but there were
Yeah,
a
for
couple of
sure.
people like asking questions of the senator, like, can you dab? And he was
Yeah,
like, he was like, oh, is that a cannabis reference? Like, it was hilarious. But and then someone else said like, oh, the announcer guy is like really hot and good looking or something, and they like read that aloud during the stream, and it was very
What?
awkward.
I missed that part.
I don't know. Like, there were just a couple of things that I was like, I guess they were like a little bit cringe
a bit
moments. I was like,
cringy,
oh
yeah.
my god! Like, just if you're gonna be about politics and gaming, stick to politics and gaming, because some of the comments I read, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they're reading these right now. But they gotta have something for everybody, I guess.
Well, and I think they were trying to engage with the audience, sort of.
Yeah.
And we know Twitch chat is about the memes.
Yes. But I don't think the senator from Florida understood the memes. So
Well, he had never heard of Twitch. He was not real sure what he was doing there.
Senators haven't heard of Twitch. Are you sure?
Right, I know. But it was very much, so wait, people are watching us right now. Can they see us or the game? Like that was a question, I think, pretty much verbatim.
But someone who's not familiar with it, it's a fair question, right? So-
Right.
yeah, but perhaps they should brief them, maybe.
I would've
Sounds
thought
like a great
too.
idea.
I would have thought maybe their assistant would have pulled up a Twitch stream and said, hey, this is what you're going to go do in a minute.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And
Go forth and
Mr. Bite
play
points,
football.
Yeah, Mr. Bite in chat here points out something relevant. Consider Jeff Bezos owns the Post. It makes sense that they'd stream on Twitch of all sites. So I guess that does make sense. Some additional information here. So playing games with politicians is going to be a recurring 30 to 60 minute live segment. It will interview politicians about top political news and headlines as they play a video game. So pretty much what we said. Yeah. So the Washington Post says we're excited to explore other video storytelling opportunities and share our political expertise with this vibrant community. So yeah. So we'll be certainly keeping an eye on that, and I'll try and watch a few of those myself. It looks pretty interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if we see other media outlets using Twitch in this kind of way too.
Yeah, and I mean, I just hope that they treat something like playing games with politicians fairly equally and play, a game with a Democrat and a game with a Republican and so on. And not.
Depends who wants to do it. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, it does, obviously, but if you're only asking a certain segment, that's where the problem comes in, right?
I'm
Do
just
they have
imagining.
Do they have schedules right now, or they just fire it up when they want to? They seem to. It doesn't say anything on their Twitch page, but
I don't know. The article doesn't list anything here either about a specific schedule, so guess I'm not sure at this point.
well, to be fair, it's still pretty new. I like
Yeah.
from what I see from the videos, they only did 3 streams so far.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm on their Twitch page right now, and like their offline screen shows their next 4 shows. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it looks like they have Live with Libby Casey, and then Thursday is Playing Games with Politicians.
Yeah, I saw that, but I thought that was the schedule for the streams they already done. Because if you go to the past streams, it's literally all these 4 streams that are available.
This looks like a different person though for Games with Politicians. It's a woman.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I mean, maybe it's kind of the same format with different people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, and for those of you who are listening to the podcast on YouTube or at a later date, just to point out here, so we have a pretty interesting debate going on in the chat. Of course, we said GIFs, and this always happens when you say GIFs as to whether it's truly GIFs or GIFs. And I'll just add my perspective here. I always called it GIFs until I moved to the United States, and I have now been corrupted to calling it GIFs. But traditionally, I did call it GIFs, so they're just adding in my 2 cents.
Thank you for your 2 cents.
Yeah.
The movie magical picture thingamabobs.
Yeah, maybe we should go with that because of the debate gets pretty hot there.
It's intense. It's intense.
It is intense. Anyway, so apart from that, anybody got any additional comments they want to say about the Washington Post's twitching?
I just want to see 2 politicians on opposing sides get angry at each other for a video game. Nothing to do with politics, just through the video game itself.
Twist. That would be an interesting twist to have people from the opposite side of the aisle playing against each other.
Let's suggest it.
Let's book it. Yeah, right now.
There you go. All right. Well, that's pretty interesting. All right, let's move on to the next exciting story that we have here. It is new Twitch ambassadors. Will they have diplomatic immunity? So
I'm sure they will.
So yeah. So Twitch has launched and announced it has 15 new ambassadors. They're partners. They have to be a Twitch partner, and they embody what Twitch is all about. It's not necessarily the biggest streamers or the most popular streamers. It is streamers who, I guess, represent different levels of growth, represent... I'm trying to find the quote. There was a really nice quote here earlier, and I can't find it now. The ambassadors are not necessarily just the most popular streamers and channels, but instead aim to represent partnered streamers at different levels of growth as they make a career from Twitch. So these are going to be at TwitchCon 2018, and they're going to be representing streamers at TwitchCon. What that means, I guess I'm not entirely sure. But I did put the picture from the press announcement with all their faces and their names. I'm not going to read through all their names for 2 reasons. 1, I'm terrible at trying to figure out how to pronounce the names. And 2, you guys all lamented when I spent like 15 minutes going through a whole long list last time. So we're going to skip that this time. But looking at the list myself, Starfish and I looked at this list earlier, and we were only familiar with a couple of them. So Jari, I'm familiar with, and Pokimane, or however you pronounce her name. But yeah, I don't know about you guys, if you're familiar with the others on the list.
I'm
Not
familiar with
really.
about half, I would say.
Okay.
What is Twitch and what am I doing here?
Good question. I like what Mr. Byte brought up. that there's no representation by affiliates. So I wonder if that is something that they might change, because partners are a good representation of Twitch and will be excellent ambassadors for Twitch. But a huge part of Twitch culture right now is the affiliates. I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of us. So I wonder if they'll add that in the future.
So here's why there are no affiliates. Because this is the reason Twitch ambassadors exist, and you can tell it. I read a handful of these, the profiles that they did, and it brings me to an interesting question, which is TwitchCon marketed to Twitch fans, or is TwitchCon marketed to people who want to be streamers? And the reason is, if you read, and that's why all these people are partners, one, because, they've got a certain level of involvement with Twitch at large, but also if you read each of the profiles, they talk about like their journey, and they make, I think, some specious like suggestions or like advice, like success stories, like this streamer used her college tuition to buy a streaming setup and all went really, really well. And I'm like, that's not good advice to give to people.
Right.
Use those loans.
Yeah,
Start
actually,
streaming.
yeah.
It's like they took a risk and they spent their scholarship on streaming, and I'm glad it worked out well. But
For all those that it didn't.
that's what, and if you read the profiles, that's the picture that it paints. It's like, look at all these success stories. Look at these people who are down on their luck and they had a dream and they went for broke and it worked out. And that's how like all of them read. And to their all credit where credit's due, a lot of them are successful for one reason or another. And I've heard of a handful of them. So obviously they're somebody. They're not just some Marlon randos. But it's very, very interesting. And so I think that's why you don't see affiliates, is because they don't want to advertise the affiliate. Because if we're being completely candid, the bar for affiliate is lower even than it used to be, if we're being truthful. So they want you to see what the end of the rainbow looks like, and they want you to shoot for that. And so that's why these ambassadors exist in the first place. This is not even about the Twitch community. This is Twitch selling itself as a brand or as a career.
I mean, they're looking out for themselves, like they always will.
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
But
Aim
it's
for
not-
this so we make the most money.
Right. And it's not Ninja, because not like that's a phenomenon. It's not the normal partner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't say Ninja's the thing you can become, because nobody's
You
going to
can't.
become Ninja.
Right.
Ninja
exactly.
will become Ninja, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it does say, this is just the first year of the ambassador program, and they will select new ambassadors each year for each TwitchCon. So this, I guess it'll rotate, and it's going to be, it's kind of an honor, I guess, for these people as well to be selected as ambassadors. I'd be pretty interested to see exactly what it's going to entail, that they're actually going to do, at TwitchCon. What does this really mean? So the articles I'm reading don't really give a lot of information, just that they embody what Twitch is all about. It says they'll be telling their story of becoming partner in their journey on Twitch, and will feature at TwitchCon in 2018. So that,
Well, a lot of them just look like they were doing meet and greets. I don't know if they're actually doing panels or what, but yeah, I don't know.
So interesting. But yes, I did see that the little quote that they had, one partner used tuition money to build a streaming rig and still aced the semester. Another lost their job and used the opportunity to pursue their true passion on Twitch. Their stories are diverse, and their approaches to streaming great content and building communities empower both growing and established creators. So Twitch did say that they're going to post one new story every week leading up to TwitchCon on October 26th. So I guess you can stay tuned to twitchcon.com/ambassadors, and also on the TwitchCon Twitter page for those stories. So yeah. All right. Anything else we want to say about the new Twitch ambassadors?
No.
And I do notice that Logan Paul just sticking his head in our presentation again.
Do we have to do that every week?
All right.
That's what I was gonna ask, but I
He
didn't know
stuck
how
his
to
head
ask it.
into the presentation.
I was kind of,
It's
I was
there.
like, is that actually part of the graphic? Please tell me it's not.
No.
What you're actually seeing is Quig's white desktop background.
You're right. That's just my desktop background. So
Quick,
Just
please.
flexing on every program he runs.
he's gone.
Bonsai buddy from the new age.
I deleted him. All right, moving on. All right, so the next story we have today is ethical IRL streaming. So this is on here because of the story. Basically, a driver for Uber and Lyft live streamed hundreds of riders on Twitch without their consent, which in that particular state, I forget which state it is, Missouri, is legal. It's a one-party consent state. So as long as one person is aware and consents to the recording, it's legal. But the question really is it ethical to be recording and streaming people without their knowing? I guess some of them knew, but not all of them knew. So
You could put a sign up at least, like on the back seat or something, like this is being streamed.
right.
Well, what I'm wondering is, wasn't there kind of an uproar last year at TwitchCon? Streamers at TwitchCon streaming IRL in like the crowds and in the lines and in the convention, and they put signs up or something saying like this is a no IRL streaming zone because you can't possibly get consent of all of those strangers. Isn't this kind of the same thing?
Not really.
If they don't know they're being filmed.
So, but the laws in California might be really different from the laws in Missouri.
Yeah, I guess I just am like.
It is true that there was issues at the last TwitchCon with people just being stupid about IRL streaming and basically shoving their camera in people's faces without any previous discussion, which is irritating.
Yeah, I mean,
There's-
like I know there's state by state laws, but like at the end of the day, like okay, what am I trying to say here? Does Twitch know about this, first of all? Is this why this whole topic came up, is because Twitch found out that this was happening?
There's been worse stories in this though. There was the guy who was just IRL streaming as he would like go around college campus, and he had a backpack set up with a speaker on it, so it would say the donation out loud to everyone in the area, and then that one guy did a donation, so it sounded like it was going to be a bomb threat, and then he got arrested and he's in jail now.
Yeah, I think you really have to be careful with IRL.
Yeah,
I
so
think there's a completely good way to do it.
yeah, this guy has 4,350 followers, I guess, and it looks like 100 subscribers who support his channel. So I mean, the question is too: has he actually broken any Twitch rules here? Is there anything that says? I mean, it's IRL. Is there anything that says you have to have people's consent? Because I don't think there is. I mean, you look at Soda Poppin or some of the other streamers who'll just walk down the road. They'll be going into bars and things. And are they getting consent of all those people to be on the stream? Absolutely not.
Right.
And those are kind of fun to watch, to be honest.
They are actually.
Oh no, they totally are. I have a couple of people that I watch that do IRL streams like that, and they're so entertaining. And it's kind of like, Mr. Byte said something about I wouldn't want to risk people getting nude in my car on stream. Like, I think it's going to take a very unfortunate event such as that for Twitch to make a rule about it, because they can't possibly regulate like all the strangers on the street, and IRL streamers can't get permission of every bar they walk into and all that stuff. So,
Well, Kitsch, he would ask every bar he walked into before he started streaming, but he didn't ask every person that he saw.
right.
So
Right.
So for what it's worth, it looks like this guy might be banned.
Oh, really? I was reading
Yep.
through the article trying to see if he was banned or not, but
The article said, well, I mean, he might have gotten banned. How old
Yeah.
was the article? Because this original one, well, it's only 12 hours old. So maybe, yeah, they pulled the trigger on it fast. But it said that his name is just Smurf.
yes, I saw
Is
that.
what all the articles say. Driver's been suspended from ride sharing. His live stream channel also disappeared from Twitch on Saturday.
Mm.
Yeah. So I guess as soon as word got out, so maybe don't do an interview about how you stream
Right.
strangers in your car if you want to keep doing that.
I mean, the
That's
thing
your
is,
lesson of the day.
if I got into a rideshare and I knew I was being streamed live on Twitch, like maybe like if there was a sign in the car or the driver said it to me as I got in, like I might think it was kind of cool. And then I could make a decision as a passenger whether or not I was okay with that. But
Right.
if he was not telling those passengers and then they were just like carrying on a conversation with their driver or carrying on a conversation with the person they got into the car with, not knowing they were being streamed live onto the internet, I think that's
I agree.
the issue.
I actually
It's
think,
not
yeah, I agree with exactly what you're saying. I think it's an ethical thing, right? You just put some kind of sign on there. But I mean, I guess the problem is it's Uber or Lyft. You can't previously communicate this is going to be streamed. But if you had some kind of vehicle in it had some kind of disclaimer that you were going to be filmed, or maybe you could say, hey, I don't want to be filmed when you get in, and he'll you turn it off or whatever. But I think Mr. Byte is saying apparently he had a very small disclaimer sign in his car about it. But as we were talking about this, what I was thinking was, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you had like a live streamed version of, almost like a live streamed version of like Cash Cab or something like that?
Okay, that's exactly what I was thinking. Can we do this? Let's do it. Let's monetize it. That would be so fun.
Cash Cab does get permission from everyone that goes in the cab, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but we could too. And then we could stream it IRL. It would be so cool.
Oh, for sure.
So one thing I was thinking about is that really, like, Uber and Lyft drivers totally can let you know before you even get in the car or even come over.
They can.
Like, they get your number and they can text you.
I guess they could.
So there's no
Right.
reason that as soon as somebody accepts you, they don't just shoot them a text, just, hey, letting you know if you get in my car, you're going to be on this live stream. Is that okay? And I'm sure that the reason he didn't do that is precisely because if he did, most people would say no.
Yeah,
And-
I think
Like,
it's
that's the
more
whole
of a
thing.
Uber
He
thing.
very deliberately doesn't tell them because he knew exactly what was going to
Right. And the article does say that other IRL ride hailing streamers often lose passengers when they disclose that they're going to be streaming.
So
It only takes one
what a
nut
dick.
job to start like getting naked and stuff as well.
Yes, and people do act differently when they know they're being filmed as well. So
that's true.
you could have someone who's just trying to show off for the internet and, flashes the camera and then you're toast. But
Not to mention, it's like, is there any like weird gray area as far as like using my likeness for profit?
I have no idea.
Because you can film people in public, but if you film me in public and then pranking me and then you put me on your TV show, then if you didn't have my consent, like I can take you up shit creek.
I
do you
honestly
think
don't
that's
know. Yeah.
do you think that's why the rideshare company probably had issue with it? Because
Yeah, I would
he was
assume they
making
might
money
assume
and
some
they
level
weren't.
of liability there. Yeah.
Definitely an interesting issue. And besides all the legal issues, I think it does come down to what is ethical? Ethical to me is disclosing it. If someone's not comfortable with it, you don't do it. And that's the end of it.
Yeah. But I
What was
do
that?
think we just came up with a really good concept.
I agree.
So let's make it happen.
So we're gonna
Excellent.
get a car
Excellent.
and we're gonna
Let's
start
make it
filming.
happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now we just need a bankroll to make it worth the people's time to
Yeah.
get in the cash Uber.
Listen, my bank keeps trying to get me to sign up for personal loans, so let's just get a loan. We'll pimp out a car. It'll be
Yeah, can we rent let's get a really nice car. Like, how many people do this in like a Lamborghini, for instance?
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Probably
if your bank gives you a loan for a Lamborghini, we're doing it, man. let me tell you right now, my bank won't. Sure won't.
Yeah.
Right. Execution just made a point that part of the issue is that you kind of get to know the person's name because of the usual Uber and Lyft behavior. They always say, "Hey, are you Starfish?" when they, roll up to pick you up. You might know somebody's city or even their address if you're familiar with where they get dropped off. And so there's definitely potential for abuse there from the viewer's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the downside of all these things. You could just have
Right.
really, really bad people getting in your car, driving the car, or watching chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't trust everyone, and you can't police all the different parties. So yeah, it's a little iffy.
And Mr. Byte would just like to let us all know that you can dial 1-888-5-OPT-OUT to get creditors to stop sending you notices about credit cards and personal loans.
Ooh,
We're
thank you.
American.
Yeah, I don't know the equivalent in the UK, but yeah, or in Canada actually. All right, well it's an interesting one. It's an ethical quandary, and you know once we all figure out how we're going to make our multi-million-dollar dream of our live version of Cash Cab come to life, yeah.
Moolah minivan.
You're right,
Ooh.
Moolah minivan. Oh,
I like it.
All right.
Diesel Pinto.
Champ cab.
Champ cab. Oh no, Mr. Bike got time.
What the heck?
Rip.
Got him.
Oh boy. Mr. Bike says you can also visit optoutprescreen.com to opt out permanently. So there you go. Thank you, Mr. Bike. All right, moving on, we'll go to our final story here. And our final story is not really a story, it's a discussion. So it's, we'll see how much we have to say about it, but early access. So the discussion here is, does early access discourage participants from actually playing the release game? And I think we've talked about this a couple times, and I've just kind of thrown a whole bunch of logos on the screen of games that are somewhat famous for their early access. Or being
I
in
might
early
recognize
access
one of
for-
those.
You might recognize a couple of them, actually, yeah. So PlayerUnknown's Battleground, Ark Survival Evolved, Don't Starve, Slime Rancher, and Subnautica, all big, big games. Everyone's familiar with those games that were in early access, and some of them for a very long time. Subnautica, I think, was in early access for 3 years. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I don't know how long that was in early access, but at least a year, I think.
I think isn't Fortnite still in early access too?
It may be.
Technically, yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
technically.
for season 5, I think season 6 will be the official launch, but for this season it's still so it doesn't mean anything anymore, really.
Right.
It's just words.
And so I know that I talked about before having played Subnautica over the last few years and in various stages of development, seeing the changes, different parts of the storyline getting released. I guess when it did finally come out, I felt like I'd seen everything already through the early access program, and I didn't really need to play the whole game end to end. I'd seen different pieces of it enough. And I did go back and I played it and I got about halfway through and kind of thought, well, what's new? What's new here? But I don't know. I don't think it's always the same with every game. I think it depends on what kind of game. Subnautica, despite being a survival game, is story driven. So I think that's part of it too. You know the story. What's the point in playing it? So yeah, Mr. Bice says early access equals pay full price with none of the support. And Execution says early access is really being misused to attract people into playing a game. So what do you? Yeah, go ahead.
If it's a single player game, then you're basically losing no money. Because people are going to buy the game, they've bought the game, they can't buy the game again at launch. So you've not lost anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a multiplayer game, though, that's where you could either make a lot of money or lose a lot of money in the long term.
Well,
Because, the player base isn't there anymore.
there have been some instances of games. I can't think of a title off the top of my head, but where early access has been pay to play, and then when they fully release the game, it's free to play. So you've essentially paid to gain early access to the game, to an unfinished
Darwin was that
game.
way.
Yes. So okay, that's a good example. So and then when it finally releases and is a full game and has support, it's free. So I don't know. I feel like the term early access gets thrown out a lot when I'm like,
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead, Rox.
I was just going to say that ESO did the same thing.
Yeah, there's been several that have been like, pay us $15, and then they come out, this is free to play now. It's like, oh.
Yeah, ESO was horrible. It's like, hey, pay us $50. What's in the game? Nothing. Is anyone playing it? No. Okay.
We can talk about Fortnite. Early access again to Fortnite was $50, and now it's still technically early access, but you can play the PUBG version for free.
The Battle Royale, yeah.
Isn't Fortnite though? I mean, isn't it an interesting story though from the Fortnite point of view, because the Battle Royale mode was just supposed to be a little free add-on piece, and it kind of took over the game and became the main piece of the game that everyone is interested in.
The piece of the game that's free where they make the most money.
Right. But originally, I don't think that was the intent, as I understand. I could be wrong, but yeah.
So the big thing to think about here, I think, is that early access is only kind of like a misnomer, because we have failed to change our perception of how games are released. And basically, games aren't finished anymore. That's not a thing anymore.
Right.
And we have failed to, because we're used to a past where you got a game and it was on a disc and that was the game. And then, maybe they would patch it, but the game was quote unquote done. But now games are services. Like Overwatch will never be finished. They'll just keep adding more dudes and more maps to it and more modes forever. WoW will never be finished. Fortnite will never be finished. And especially, Fortnite, I think, is a great example of how games are becoming, like, the idea of a game as a service when the game changes like every week, all the time, like Fortnite does. Like it's no longer like a product. It's not a package. It's just a thing that's changing. It doesn't have like clear and distinct boundaries or limits or terms of like, this is the complete package.
There's a big difference between multiplayer and single player, though. Like a single player game can be early access and then come out finished, and that's it.
Well, right, but if they add like 3 brand new modes to that single player game, was it finished? Is that finish point not just arbitrary? Like the fact that they say it's finished is just it actually means nothing. It means like that might be their sense of finished. But if that game keeps growing and getting more content for years and years and years, then
they're gonna add more things. Yeah.
Well, then
exactly.
I guess
So who's to say what finished is?
I guess the question is, if they add more content, like at what point are we calling it an unfinished game, or are we calling that DLC? Like, for example, like Little Nightmares is a game that like wasn't in, like, when they released the game, it was the finished game. And then after the fact, they decided to release more story in a 3-part installment, and they called it DLC.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite kind of does something similar, but they don't call it DLC. It's just like an ever-growing seasonal story, basically. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I just think the terms that we use, like, you're right, it's kind of a misnomer. Like we might be labeling things wrong. I don't know.
I think it's up to the developers, though. They're the ones saying this is early access, this is finished, this is beta, this is alpha, and sometimes none of those are true.
See, yeah, and that's why. And when you're releasing a game, people play or buy games based on their sense of whether or not they're getting their value for the money. So let me give a hypothetical. I'll give one example. Let's say I'm releasing a game, and I think that it has enough features. I think it's complete, quote unquote complete. So I say, all right, here's our brand new game. It's finished. Here it is. People buy it and play it, and then they go, wow, this game is missing a lot of stuff. It needs more stuff. And so I have, as a developer who was already planning on adding more stuff to it anyway, I'm frantically scrambling to get more content so that my players feel that it's finished and it justifies the money. But by then, I've built up so much negative buzz that people don't want to have anything to do with it. So that's situation A. Situation B, I take a game that's feature complete. Yeah, oh yeah, No Man's Sky is 100% exactly the situation. So situation B, I take that same game with those same features that I thought felt complete, and I release that as early access. Nothing is different. The price point isn't different. The contents of the game aren't different, and I'm still planning to add content as I was before. The only difference is now that people have the expectation that the game isn't done, and I don't have to worry about calling it done until I've had a good enough chance to read the community and decide what they think that done should look like. And then I avoid all the negative PR, because if people are like, there's fucking nothing to do with this game, then people just say, don't worry, dude, it's early access. So just that, it's all optics. And that's what makes the big difference.
especially when you consider that if you say games in early access, most reviews are going to be more lenient on their scores and their reviews than if you say this is my finished game.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
So the people that use reviews to like, oh, is this game any good? Will kind of get screwed over a tiny bit as well.
Yeah, it gives people the attitude that I shouldn't be thinking about, is this game done? It should be, what is this game going to become? So it completely changes the perspective of the person playing and reviewing and thinking about the game. And so that's the real strength of early access. We used to call it beta, but beta gave the impression that a game was about to come out. Like a beta was a thing that you played in 2 weeks before it was quote unquote finished. And so to get away from that, they don't call it beta anymore. They call it early access, but functionally it's the same thing.
Yeah, and now early accesses will have beta and alpha stages in addition to being in early access still.
Yep, exactly.
So this is an easy question to answer, and I think we gave a simple, clear answer. No, but yeah. So Execution actually had a comment about Subnautica. Is that basically he said the only wrong part with Subnautica was having the story released. So they should have kept it to be a sandbox game in early access, which it initially was. And it's not that having early access ruined the experience of playing it. It was just that you've exposed all the lore, you've exposed all the plot twists, and so I would imagine the people who are most excited about that game played in early access. Now the question is, do the developers care? Probably not. The developers of Subnautica have said they would not have been able to make the game without early access. It gave them enough funds to be able to turn what was basically a barely functional underwater sandbox into the amazing game it is. And I'm going to say that again, it is an amazing game. And that having early access, certain YouTubers and streamers picked up on that game. And without those YouTubers and streamers providing exposure to this game, they would not have been able to make it. They said there were several situations where they nearly abandoned the game during the development. So to that point, without early access, some games wouldn't exist. To the other point, yes, absolutely. I think that the term early access is abused. But ultimately, to Alex's point, games they're never really finished usually these days. It is an evolving thing. They go on, there's patches, there's changes, and frankly, I like where we are with gaming right now. I like that I can find a game I like, and there's going to be content continually released for that.
Yeah, I think it's well known that it can hurt your game or help your game a ton. So it just depends on the developer again.
It does.
I mean, the most simple way of putting it is, if you want to take a risk, buy an early access game. If you don't.
Right. No, it's true.
Simple as, really, isn't it? Like,
I mean, that's how I decide to purchase most games, is if I think I'm going to like it, I don't necessarily look at whether or not it says early access. If I'm watching the trailer for the game or browsing through what they have in there for the content currently, and I think I'm going to enjoy it, then I make the decision to buy it or not. Like the phrase early access doesn't really affect me one way or the other. Even though it probably should, it doesn't really.
I would say that it does affect me. If it's a single player game and they say they're working on it and the story isn't complete, I usually won't buy it as early access because I want to do the whole story and not play half of it and then come back and have to play that half over again.
Right, that does make sense. So I think what we're saying is story-driven games, from an early access standpoint, if you play a story-driven game in early access, you may not want to play the finished product, simply because if you've seen all the twists and turns and all the story, then perhaps you're not excited about the final product. That said, let's take Subnautica. We have new content coming in 2019. With an expansion, so absolutely, I'm going to play it again. So, no. And as far as Ark goes, I'll tell you something funny about Ark. I actually thought Ark was in early access, and when I Googled it, I found out that it wasn't in early access. But to me, when I play Ark, and no offense to anyone who loves this game, and I think it's a cool game too, it has an early access feel about it.
Oh heck yeah!
I swear all of these open sandbox games are always going to feel like early access. There's just no way around it right now.
Right.
I mean, it was in early access for a long time as well.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 years of early access.
Yeah. All right. Anything else related to early access we want to talk about here?
I mean, it's one of those subjects you can talk about for ages. But
It is. I mean, yeah, we could talk for 2 hours, I'm sure about early access, but all right. Well, if there's no other comments on that, that was our last topic for today. So thank you everyone for sticking by and watching and commenting and being part of this podcast. So that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the cast. I'm Quigabyte. Thanks go to Giga, Starfish, Alex, Anchor, Wolf, and Rux. We've been Podchamp Podcast. That's POD Cast. Follow us on Twitter and follow all of our channels on Twitch too. So bye-bye.
Boy.
Sayonara.
Good night.